aliens are invading, the zombies are running wild, and the skies are falling. Mageddon is here, and our only hope of survival is finding the top sleepers and streamers of the week. But don't you worry. That is exactly what we have for you tonight. So sit back, relax, and remember, aim for the head. To Off the Bench sleepers and streamers. I'm Alex. That is Sam. Sam, how you doing? You got some sleepers tonight for us?
I do have some sleepers tonight. It's week 14. It's a dog eat dog world. I'm wearing Milkbone underwear.
This guy's got two jokes.
And if you can't aim for the head, always sweep the leg, Johnny.
That's all right.
I do. Would you like me to jump right into one?
Yeah. Who's your first sleeper for week 12?
My first one is, and I'm actually a little surprised that I'm using him, but looking at the matchups, my first one is going to be Joshua Palmer from the Chargers. I think it's pretty clear that McConkey and Quentin Johnson have bypassed him in the pecking order. But he still gets a fair number of snaps. And, he had 9 targets between 2 games where he also faced poor pass defenses. That was Cleveland and New Orleans. And in both of those, he had a boom play. One of them, I think, was 72 yards, and one of them was like 63. So, I think that's what you're on a week like this, 6 teams on bye. I think those are the kind of people you're grasping at. If you want to shoot for the moon, you're like, all right, just give me one long play and a touchdown. And who better than against Baltimore? If Herbert gets time, he's going to be able to throw the ball to whoever he wants to. We know Baltimore's pass defense is bad. It's been ripped up by any number of receivers. So I like the guy that a lot of times the Chargers use as a field stretcher. So I'm going to throw him out there. And I didn't write down my percentages. I apologize, but I'm pretty sure he's available at this point.
Yeah. I mean, every sleeper show, sleeper podcast, sleeper article this week, it's Quentin Johnston. You don't see Josh Palmer. Here we go deeper. We go beyond the obvious sleepers. We go to Josh Palmer. I like it. That's the game to target. That is the game of the week to target. I believe it's the highest point total on the week, 50.5. It's the only one over 50 this week. There's going to be a lot of fantasy points. That's going to be a fantasy points party. Party. Monday Night Football, Harbaugh versus Harbaugh. They both know that the other wants to run the ball like crazy, so they're going to game plan to stop the run game.
Yep.
That could mean some pass attempts and opportunities for Josh Palmer.
And stay tuned because I've got somebody else in that game too.
As do I.
Oh, well, here we go. I guess everybody's going to be watching Chargers Ravens this weekend.
Yeah. Why don't we kick it off with Rashad Bateman?
Yes.
Yeah, Rashad Bateman available or rostered in 30% of leagues. Like I said, this is the highest point total of the week. Both offenses are really playing well right now. I know the Ravens last week against the Steelers, but that's a divisional game against the Steelers. We can throw that one out. Ravens offense is playing really well. There's going to be a ton of points, lots of passing, lots of fantasy scoring. And the Chargers have been really strong against the run. And like I just said, they're going to game plan to stop Derrick Henry, which means more passing for the Ravens. And for Rashad Bateman, he is the clear number 2 in Baltimore. And I wrote on my notes right here, I wrote under clear wide receiver 2 in Baltimore, I wrote Deontay Johnson and then LOL because it's definitely not Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
They got Deontay Johnson for free, so they have no reason to put him out on the field.
Right.
But Rashad Bateman, he's playing really well this year. He's having a little mini breakout. He's had 5 top 40 wide receiver weeks. 3 were inside the top 20 and twice inside the top 12, including wide receiver 2 overall in week 7. He's top 15 in yards per reception and yards per target. He's also number 16 in average yards of separation at the target point, according to playerprofiler.com. So target your Ravens, target your Chargers, especially in the passing game. I think Rashad Bateman can be a really nice sleeper for you this week.
Yeah, I think they listed him as questionable today. Did they not? But I don't know what kind of severity it is.
So this is what happened. So he popped up on the injury report Friday with a knee injury, which is always a concern. However, today, because they're playing on Monday Night Football, this is their Friday practice.
Right.
Today, he was back to full participant and no injury designation, so he is clear. He's good.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, as long as we're in that game, let's just keep it there. And I'm going to piggyback on some of the things that you said. Now, you're going to have to stick with me on this because I'm going to kind of go roundabout here.
Okay.
This is a player that's rostered at around 30%. So he may or may not be available in your league, but a lot of people have kind of soured on him. And also he might have hit the waiver wire so that, somebody else somebody could pick somebody else up at a different position. And that's Isaiah Likely.
Okay.
We saw the old conundrum last week, which was all of a sudden Mark Andrews disappeared, and there was Likely, having a pretty good game. And I think last week he was 4 for 75, 4 catches for 75 yards. So here's the roundabout part that I'm talking about, and what you were talking about. You said the Chargers' run defense isn't bad. They're going to try to stop King Henry. They're going to try to slow him down.
Yeah.
Ever since that week 1 blow up, Likely's 2 best games were when Henry was kept to 65 yards or less on the ground. And in both of those games, he went close to 100 yards, scored a touchdown in one of them. I don't know that I can't make heads or tails of whether there's rhyme or reason to that. It doesn't really make sense unless they're just trying to do a short passing game in lieu of just running it right into the line. But all I know is that's what the numbers say. And, if you've got Likely, I encourage you to play him. If you don't, I encourage you to check the waiver wire, because at the beginning of the season, he wasn't available, but he's down to about 30% or 34% now. So he might be sitting there. As a matter of fact, in one league, I was helping somebody out, and we were forced to put Jatavian Sanders in, who I don't think is an awful play this week, but the Chiefs have gotten better against tight ends, and Tommy Tremble is back, and he splits snaps, even though he's not much of a pass catcher.
Yeah, that game's going to be anti-Chargers Ravens. It's going to be the complete opposite environment.
Right. Yeah, it is. There's going to be it's going to be 10-9.
Yeah, exactly.
And who am I kidding? They're not going to score 9. But yeah, the thing was we had Jatavian Sanders in that slot, and then lo and behold, today, because somebody had to make a move for a kicker, they dropped Isaiah Likely, and I was like, yoink, let's get him in there instead.
Yeah.
I feel a lot better about that when they're going to score 50 points. So
yeah. Well, in a game like that. In a game like that, fantasy points are guaranteed, but Isaiah is likely. Come for the fantasy take, stay for the jokes.
Yeah, stay for the dad jokes.
That's what we do best, man. All right. Alec Pierce. What do we think about Alec Pierce? I know when I was sending you my sleepers for the week, you said Alec Pierce, yuck. But I'm here to tell you, this is the week. I'm right with you.
Put him on the thumbnail too.
I've always been about as anti Alec Pierce as it gets, going back to when he was coming out of Cincinnati. Always. After week 1, he had a big blow up game. I tweeted out Alec Pierce is the sucker waiver wire pickup of the week. And I was mostly right. I know he's had a few blow up games, but I've been mostly right. This is the week. If you're ever going to play Alec Pierce, this is the week. He's a boom bust wide receiver. We already know that. We're going to lean into that volatility. He's got a huge, huge deep ball threat. And of course, now he's got Anthony Richardson, who has the best deep ball in football. He has 9 catches of, you don't think so? Anyway.
Go on.
Anyway, Alec Pierce has 9 catches of 20 yards or more this year, 3 catches of more than 50 yards. He's got 4 top 20 wide receiver finishes this year. 3 of those came inside the top 12. He's had a wide receiver 1 week 3 times. He can do it. He can get there. We've seen it happen. He has scored double-digit fantasy points in each of the last 2 weeks. That included last week with Anthony Richardson back in the lineup. Now you look at the matchup against the Lions. The Lions have allowed the most receptions to wide receivers this year, the 4th most yards to wide receivers, and the 8th most fantasy points per game to the wide receiver position. And the Lions offense builds up such big leads so early in the game, they just pull away and they don't stop, that their opponents are forced to throw the ball constantly in comeback mode. Right. That will absolutely 100% without a doubt be the case again this week against the Colts. And garbage time Alec Pierce. Oh, give me garbage time Alec Pierce all day long. Garbage time Alec Pierce is fire. He's going to score points for you. Buy Mageddon. Why don't you just, instead of everybody's suggesting this guy and that guy with these, play the floor play. No, we're going to play the ceiling play. We're going to crush our opponents in Buy Mageddon by playing Alec Pierce and getting a nice 25-point week.
There you go. And, like I said to you when we were talking before, the thing about Anthony Richardson, too, he hit Josh Downs, who was 5 for 5 last week, scored a touchdown, played really well. But Anthony Richardson loves the home run ball. So Michael Pittman still out-targeted Josh Downs regardless. Mm-hmm. So Downs had a good game, and still Anthony Richardson was like, I want to throw it further. Bet you I can throw it over them mountains.
These guys are about the perfect skill set match you could find in football. Big arm, deep threat, jump ball guy down the field. Just tee them up. They're going to connect for at least one of them this week. At least one of them.
You heard it here first.
And only.
Okay, I'm going to take it home with somebody who I've already used on this show once. And he is still only rostered at 28%. So he might be available in a lot of your leagues. It's not going to be available in all of them. But that is our old buddy, Roschon Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I was hoping you were going to talk about Roschon Johnson. Yes.
Yeah. Here's the deal. DeAndre Swift was limited on he started out no practice, then he was limited. He did go full yesterday, but the question is, how full is full? You know what I mean? Whenever they say full practice, I'm like, yeah, but what did he do? Maybe they just did a walkthrough that day. But I think Swift has a ginger groin. It's a great song title by the way. Or it should be an injury designation. Ginger groin. But Swift's groin is hurting him. I think that's why Roshan got extra carries towards the end of last week, which is only the second time this season he's had double-digit carries. The Bears average about 14 carries a game. If for some reason Swift gets dinged up and has to come out, Roshan gets to take over, they're going to run him. They average at least 14 carries a game. And here's the thing. The Vikings are hard on the run D. But at the same time, when teams run for 15 carries or more, they give up an average of 97 yards in that game. So all this to say, the things work positively if Roshan, even if he's just spelling DeAndre Swift a little more than usual to keep him fresh. We also know that groin injuries have a tendency to sneak back up as soon as you make a weird cut. Mm-hmm. So I like Roshan again this week. Of course, he's got 5 touchdowns. That leads the team in rushing touchdowns, including Caleb and Swift. So I like him to score regardless. And I'm playing him in my home league. I've got him as my RB2 lined up this week with buys. I'm all for Roshan. I'm always all for Roshan, but the numbers back it up.
I think Thomas Brown is one of us. Thomas Brown, first week as the offensive coordinator, the play caller in Chicago, he revealed himself as also a Roschon Johnson truther. He gave Roschon Johnson his season high snap share. He tied his season high in carries with 10. And he looked good doing it. I think they like the between the tackles, physicality, size
I agree.
that Roschon Johnson brings. And not only is he a big, powerful 220-pound running back, he's a big 220-pound running back who can catch passes. All season, they've been taking off DeAndre Swift, who coming into the NFL was highly touted as a really good receiving running back. They're taking him off the field for Roschon Johnson in a lot of passing situations. They're taking him off in goal line situations for Roschon Johnson. And now Roschon Johnson is eating significantly into the between the 20s, between the tackles role as well. Roschon Johnson is very usable. The matchup is I do think it's a little iffy this week.
Yeah.
This could be a really low scoring, ugly type game. These NFC North classic type nasty, ugly games, but I like it. By Mageddon, we got to play Roschon Johnson. I played in a couple leagues last week. I felt really good about it.
Yeah,
I bet again this week.
I bet. And like I said about Swift, finally finishing the week with a full practice, he's still listed as questionable. So there's no guarantee that he's going to play. I think he probably will, but I think they're probably going to have him on a pitch count.
Exactly. I mean, even just having that limited work during the week could mean, all right, a few less carries, few less touches, few less snaps for DeAndre Swift this week than he normally would have gotten. That just means more Roschon Johnson. I'm all here for more Roschon Johnson.
I mean, I think on by Mageddon, if you get another 10 carries out of him like you did last week, I'd say you're happy at that point. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially if he finds pay dirt, then you're really living.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your last one?
Let's dig really, really deep for this one. We're going beneath the surface.
We're going subterranean.
We are. We're going to go with the desperation play, the full-blown by Mageddon desperation play. That is Dylan Laube.
Woo.
We've got in Las Vegas, we've got Zamir White and Alexander Madison listed as doubtful. They're both likely going to be out this week. That means it's going to be Amir Abdullah and Dylan Laube. Now, Dylan Laube, he's a 5'10", 206-pound rookie, 6th-round pick out of New Hampshire, small school guy. He's an all-purpose all-purpose skill set running back. And actually, he's the best receiving running back that came out of the 2024 rookie class this year. He caught
Yes, he
100.
is. He had easily the best hands of all the running backs
Yes.
that were in this draft.
There were people at the Senior Bowl or wherever he was, or the Combine, whatever it was. I can't remember where it was. The scouts were saying Dylan Laube was the best receiver at whatever this event was, including the receivers. It was Dylan Laube. And he caught 117 passes. He averaged 10 yards per reception over his last 2 seasons at New Hampshire. And on top of that, he also ran for 1,200 yards in 2022. He's a legitimately good route runner with good hands. He's got the athleticism to make plays after the catch. Now, the problem is, that's the exciting part. The problem is he only has 1 carry all season, which means he has 1 carry in his career. And guess what happened on it? He fumbled. He fumbled, hasn't seen the field since. So I think because of that and just the way the coaches are, we get the veteran Amir Abdullah. Amir Abdullah is likely to get the majority of the work, but I mean, one, it's Amir Abdullah.
It's Amir Abdullah.
Like what? And Abdullah he's not a workhorse. He's never been a workhorse. No. Dylan Laube is going to get mixed into this backfield. And if Amir Abdullah is ineffective, which is very possible, they could ride Dylan Laube in the second half of this game. Now, like I said at the beginning, this is a deep contrarian play, but with running backs on bye, we have Bijan Robinson, James Cook, Chase Brown, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Alvin Kamara, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen. They're all on bye this week. So I know some people play in real big boy leagues that need to dig deep and find a play like Dylan Laube. I think you can just throw a dart at it. Yeah. I'd rather play Dylan Laube and just see what happens than a lot of other plays that I've seen suggested this week.
Yeah, and it's worth noting also that Madison and White have been hurt all week. So that's an entire week that Abdullah and Laube have been able to practice as the ones or the 1 and the 2 all week. So it's not like he's getting just thrown in there without knowing some of the playbook or without having anything particular planned on what they're going to do and so on and so forth.
Yeah, we saw some good quotes this week from Antonio Pierce talking up Dylan Laube. So I think there's a chance that at some point in this game, you're like, you know what, Amir Abdullah, you're not getting the job done. Let's see what the rookie's got. They're probably going to be getting blown out by the Broncos, and that's one thing about this that's kind of iffy. It is a tough defense, tough matchup here for Dylan Laube, but it's by Mageddon.
Yeah. And it should be noted also that this is not the time of year to be chasing points from, previous weeks or absolutely using the projections on whatever platform you are on as a Bible. Everybody who plays this game is smart. You know how to look at who they're playing. You've been watching football. You know what defenses are good. Well, most people are smart. You know what defenses are good. You know which ones are not. Don't be afraid to reach for somebody below there are a lot of people that just take the top person on the stack. You know what I mean? When a lot of times there's an ace that's 6 cards below that. So just do your due diligence.
Yeah, we don't play scared here. We got a few bold predictions for you, but why don't we grab a couple questions real quick before we get to our bold predictions of the week. See what happens with those. Let's start with Gerard. Gerard is asking, PPR, we need a wide receiver and we need a flex. So we're looking at Josh Downs, Calvin Ridley, Jawan Jennings, and Rashad White. Let's start with, who are we starting at wide receiver?
Jennings.
Okay. All right. Even with Brandon Allen.
I don't care if it's Brandon Allen or not. I'm going with Jennings.
All right. Give me Josh Downs. Give me Josh Downs for everything that I said about Alec Pierce. Well, give me Josh Downs. Now, what about in the flex spot?
Ridley's played well. I just can't trust him just now. I think I got to go Rashad.
Yeah.
Still with the fact that they're missing players, even with Mike Evans coming back. Rashad, Otten, they're not going to be completely, taken out of the system just because Mike Evans is running down the field. So
Yeah, I agree. I think Rashad White would be the play for me as well. How about this one from the Dynasty Dogs? Xavier Legette, Brandon Allen, J.K. Dobbins. We're talking about a super flex spot right here.
What's up, Michael? I would say,
I'm going to fire up the quarterback. Just give me Brandon Allen.
Yeah, I mean,
if you like Jawan Jennings, you gotta play the quarterback.
Yeah, I tend to go quarterback in Superflex anyway, unless there's some strange scoring, like if there's enormous penalties for interceptions or sacks. So as long as there's no weird outliers there, I'd play the quarterback. Yeah. I think he's going to have a fine game, and
Dobbins is tempting. But I think you're right. We got to play.
That's exactly what my thought was as well.
Yeah, just the game environment there could be really nice for Dobbins. But
yeah, Dobbins against Baltimore. So
right. How about this one from Vince? Vince is asking Drake May, Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, or Tommy DeVito.
Tommy Cutlets.
Yeah.
Boy. I gotta go. I think I have to go Anthony Richardson here.
I like it. Let's go A-Rich. Let's do it. Mm-hmm. I have him and Drake May ranked back to back, but I think Richardson gives you a huge upside here.
I do not. I would have A-Rich, Stroud, May, DeVito. Although the first three are reasonably close together.
How about Debo, Ridley, or Dobbs?
Debo. Okay. I'm sticking with the 49ers, even with Brandon Allen.
All right. Sheldo missed the Alec Pierce rant. So we don't really have to answer this one. We already answered this. It's Alec Pierce. Go Alec Pierce. You can rewind the show and you see my speech. Go Alec Pierce.
Yeah, he was on the box.
How about from Daniel? Would you start Kate Otten or Will Dissly?
I'm still starting Otten until the wheels fall off.
Yeah, I agree. I
like Dissly and I love the matchup this week. But I also like everybody else in that. I don't think they have to rely on Dissly, so I think he might be passed over quite a bit. Whereas Baker still needs to rely on Otten.
Yeah. If I hadn't talked about Will Dissly last week, he would have been a strong consideration for me for this.
Mm-hmm.
For one of my sleepers this week. But I agree. I'd go Otten. All right, let's get to our bold predictions. What do you got for your bold prediction?
You say my dick or balls? Definitely your balls.
All right.
I'm going to tickle them.
All right. Now the last for our audience. What's your bold prediction?
Yeah. This is a family show. My bold prediction this week, if you couldn't guess already, is that Brandon Allen is going to take the 49ers into Lambeau Field, and they are not only going to cover that spread, they are going to win the game outright, probably by a touchdown.
Ooh, we should have saved that one for the sending you out on that one. We should have gone out on that one.
Oh, you were going to give me the drama?
I didn't know yours was going to be that dramatic. Yeah, we would have gone out on that one. That was so good. All right. Well, my not quite as dramatic. We talked about a lot. We talked about Ravens, Chargers. This has kind of been like our theme of the show tonight. Lots of points, lots of passing. They both want to stop the run. They're going to stop the run. They're both good against the run. fire up Lamar, fire up Justin Herbert, fire up all the passing components in both of those offenses. So with that in mind, I believe, I'm predicting that game between those two teams is going to produce the quarterback 1 overall this week, the wide receiver 1 overall this week, the tight end 1 overall this week. Now, notice I didn't say running back, because while we're going to get the wide receiver, quarterback, and tight end 1 overall this week,
the running backs aren't going to do anything.
That means Derrick Henry and J.K. Dobbins are going to combine for fewer than 15 fantasy points, and they're also going to be outscored, both of them together, by Justice Hill.